This is a Dewick's Plusia. Up until 2023, this was the moth of dreams for anybody in Nottinghamshire. There had been just a single record prior to this year. And then this year, the most remarkable invasion of these moths occurred. And nearly everybody got one of these. And now I've got quite a few. I've got quite a few to release. On October the 1st, earlier this year, some 6 weeks ago, I trapped a Dewick's Plusia, a rare migrant moth to the UK, even rarer to Nottinghamshire and other Midlands counties, but there was an unprecedented influx, prior to which Nottinghamshire only had one record of Dewick's Plusia. Now it's got a lot more, and most people have caught up with this beautiful moth. I caught a female on the 1st of October. I didn't realise at first she was a female until I looked in the container the following morning and found out that she'd deposited some eggs. Here's the result of those eggs that she deposited. It's a release date today. They've all hatched now, and I'm releasing them in the garden at the point of capture. Quite an exciting day. Never thought I would ever trap one of these moths in my lifetime. They were so rare, but like a couple of other species, they had fantastic years in 2023 and certainly broke new ground. Whether we ever see the likes of this number of Dewick's Plusia again in Nottinghamshire, I very much doubt, or it won't be for many years. So, time to let these little beauties go. They are absolutely beautiful moths. We'll have a look at them before we release. But I have just 5 here on my hand, all very fresh, and they've been hatching over the course of the last 3 days. One has hatched this morning, but I never dreamt that I would ever see one of these. Never thought it. Such a rare moth. And now I'm about to chuck 20 odd into the garden. I have no qualms about releasing these because these would have been appearing around about now anyway. It's a migrant species, unlikely to survive a UK winter, but who knows? This could well be the start of an annual occurrence and indeed colonisation of Nottinghamshire by this moth. Other moths have done it recently, but they are beautiful, very like silver white moth, and they are related to silver white, but absolutely beautiful things. I ended up, after getting my first Dewick's Plusia here in the garden on the 1st, I then followed it up with a second, a different individual on the 6th, and there's been a number of other records from the small Nottinghamshire town where I live. None have been recorded since early to mid-October, and any more that are around will be in the pupal stage. But this moth obviously bred locally here from a female arriving earlier in the year. So there's no problem with releasing these into the wild, because they would be in the wild anyway. From egg through to adult, it has taken about 6 weeks. The eggs hatched very quickly. In fact, I think the period from being laid to hatching of the eggs was only about 6 days. Very quick to hatch, very tiny, the eggs, smaller than I would have expected. And the larvae grew well, fed these on stinging nettle, which they loved. I can't remember losing any larvae. They've all done very well, been very easy to rear. I love that touch of almost herald-like bronzy colour on the forewings there, just by the tip of that Y-shaped white mark. The overall ground colour can vary a little bit. Some specimens can be a bit more greyish, while some have a distinct brown hue overall on the forewings. It's a quite beautiful moth. As is typical with moths such as Dewick's Plusia and silver Y and gold spot and the like, they have those plumes, those tufts of hair at the back of the head on the thorax. Quite extreme. That shows well on that one on the left hand side of the flower head. This is one of the highlights of the year for me. It would have been highlight enough just getting a longed for migrant moth in the garden, but to have the chance to rear a number of these, in fact just over 20 to adult, from just over 20 eggs, was a real bonus. Quite often it's the big hawk moths that everybody likes to rear because they are so well marked and spectacular, but I think a lot of people underestimate a lot of noctuids and geometrids. That's just a beautiful moth. Time to get the rest and release them into the garden then. Right then, so normally if you release moths after a night's trapping, you would release them usually at dusk or in the morning after you finish counting them, and you would put them somewhere in dense foliage and cover. In this instance, because I haven't got the luxury of releasing these early in the morning or at dusk, they go in this conifer here. It's a very tightly knit conifer, and that's where hopefully these will go. They'll probably fly straight off. And in they go. It is late in the year for Dewick's Plusia. But these should be fine. As I mentioned, they would be here naturally anyway through migration. And this was the point of capture, which is another thing that, or another stipulation, that if you release anything, you release it back at its point of capture. I'm about 3 yards away. But these will very quickly sort themselves out, tuck themselves away, and then fly this evening. Beautiful little things, absolutely beautiful. And the last one, the last of the Dewicks. Job done. An easy species to rear if ever you get the chance, and very rewarding as well. I never thought I'd be throwing 20 odd Dewick's Plusias out in the garden. Never in a month of Sundays.